Good evening. Good evening. First, I'm going to ask that if you are sharing, if you are live on your phone, please turn the volume down so that it doesn't pick up the conversation and give us feedback. And yeah, other than that, hey everybody, my name is Tony McNeil. I am a community organizer with Faith in the Valley. And I'm here sharing space with Chris. Wave, Chris. And Mary, wait, Mary. And Latoya, who's not on camera yet, which is why she is not on the screen. She's still in the backstage from Public Health Advocates. Today, we are here to have one of our series of COVID conversations that we have been holding space for the past couple of months. Just having some real transformative dialogue surrounding COVID and what's going on. And so this is where, folks get to just speak their truth. We don't judge their truth. We don't, confront it. There is no combating here. If there is information that we do share that is pertaining to COVID, it is from an educational perspective. We are not here to tell you that you should get the shot, that you shouldn't get the shot, that you shouldn't get the shot, that you should, for those people that said I said should first, but yeah. So we're not here to sway you either way. Some might say hard, but we're trying to help them not do that too. But we are here to lift up some dialogue. So tonight we are blessed and excited to have a conversation that is going to be centered around school. So tonight's conversation is entitled Back to School, Back to COVID. Thought that was catchy and kind of cool. Well, but not, And so I want us to go around and just kind of do introductions. And so, Chris, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and then kick it to Mary. And Mary, if you could just make space to introduce all of our guest panel speakers.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, my name is Chris Cannon, program manager at Public Health Advocates. I'm glad to be here. I don't have any kids in school just yet. My daughter's only 7 months, but I am here interested to see how people feel about, what's going on with school districts and with COVID and the protocol. So thank you for having me. I appreciate
it. Hey everyone. Mary Davis here, Public Health Advocates. I am a parent of school-age children, so I thought it would be pretty cool to bring on other parents tonight just so we can have a candid conversation about back to school, back to COVID. What are we experiencing? What's going on at your child's school compared to what's going on at my child's school? Tonight, I did invite two parents to join us as well as a school counselor. So I'll let the school counselor introduce herself first. Adrian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Adrian Witherspoon. I'm a school counselor in the Bay Area. Yeah.
Nicole?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole McMorris. I'm a parent of 4 kids in the Lodi Unified School District. And happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Nish, are you there?
I'm here.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I am Nisha Montoya, and I am a mother of 2 twins that go to Stockton Unified School District. And I'm happy to be here and put in my input.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Elder Tony, would you like me to start off with some of the questions that I have for my parents and counselor? Or do you have?
So we can actually tag team and you can do the question part. But first I want to thank the parents that hopped on. I am like super stoked to have you guys here. And so if you can again for me, just so that I can get it, ages and grades. Kim, you have 2, and what are the ages and grades again?
So yeah, I have a set of twins. They're age 11 and they're in 6th grade.
Ooh, you doing big stuff.
Big day.
Ooh, okay. And Nicole, beautiful Nicole. Age of your children or child?
So my oldest, she's a 7th grader at Delta Sierra. I also have a 10-year-old who is at Oakwood. My son is a 4th grader. And then I have a kindergartner that just started at Oakwood as well.
Shut up.
So I have too much going on over here.
She's doing bigger things than me.
And Aubrey is the leader of them all, the kindergartner.
Yeah, she's leading the pack.
Oh, wow. And Mary, what about you? Do you have school-age children?
I do. So my daughter is 16. She goes to McNair High School. I have a 15-year-old son at McNair High School as well. And I have a 2nd grader in Stockton Unified at Rio Calaveras.
Wow. Okay. And so, Chris, your baby's not in school yet. And I have grandchildren that are in school. So I'm going to defer from being a participant. But I did invite one of my daughters in. And so if she's able to, she'll pop in as well and be able to share. So my question, just to kind of kick us off, from a check-in, and then Mary, I'm gonna kick it to you, is when you guys heard that distance learning was over and that they had to go back to school. I don't know, Mary, did you have this on your list of questions?
No, I didn't.
Well,
go ahead.
So when y'all, look, I just want to know, when you got the memo, it's time to go back to school. When you got that memo, tell me, Nicole, I'm going to start with you. How was you feeling about that memo when you received it?
I felt nervous. That was my first instinct, was nervous. Even though my kids they go to daycare after school, so they are around children like a lot of the time, outside of being with family. So my first instinct was just nerves, and then just thinking like, okay, so how is this going to go? Just looking at what the protocol was and looking at how are they going to be able to manage, all of these kids inside each classroom, and is it going to be smaller classrooms? How is that going to look? Just the unknown was kind of scary. But now I think being in it, it's manageable, just like everything else has been with COVID. Once that fear goes away, you kind of get a little bit of information, and your daily living with masks and all. The protocol's been going on for almost 2 years, so now it's kind of normalized. So, but yeah, nervous was the first instinct, and then just kind of getting as much information as I could that would affect me and the kids. So.
And I appreciate that when you were saying, when you said after a while, that it kind of normalized, and you kind of got into a flow of things. And I'm interested in knowing what were some of the things maybe that happened on the school side that helped you get normalized. But before you answer that, because it might sway, Kim, when you got the memo that you needed to send your babies back to school, how did you respond?
Well, I was nervous, but honestly, I was ready for them to get out of my house. Nah, I'm being half serious and half kidding, but I just felt like from them being home for so long, I'm just very big. I know that my kids are at an age where they need that other human contact. They need to be around kids. They're developing their personality. So I was nervous, but I was most definitely one of the ones that were like, yeah, it's time to go back. It's time to at least try to give them some type of sense of normalcy, back to just being some type of normalcy for them.
And we've been joined by Latoya. And Latoya, would you introduce yourself, and how old is your child? Do you have a school-age child? And if so, what's their age and grade?
Hey, everybody. I also am at PHA at Public Health Advocates. I do have a school-age kid. My son is 11, and he goes to Stockton Collegiate, which is still considered Stockton Unified School District. Is that it?
And when you got the memo that it was time to go back to school from distance learning, I should have started with that when y'all heard that the school was closing. How did you feel? But that's a whole nother conversation. See, Nicole was see. So, so when you got the
That one
notice
almost
that
took
it was
me out.
Kim, what about you? Did it freak you out too?
The at home learning?
They said school's closed. Keep them at home. You're gonna teach your children at home.
No, I was actually, because it was the tip of COVID, I was like, yes. But then a couple weeks, I was like, no. They should
Whole
have
nother
came
level.
up before they did that.
It's a whole nother level of appreciation for educators in 2020. I promise you.
Definitely.
So, Toya, how did you feel when you got the memo that it was time to go back to school?
Well, personally, I was terrified. Like, what does this look like? This is definitely not going back to things as normal because things are so different. But then part of me was super happy for my son because he's super extroverted. And I was trying to find creative ways for him to connect with other kids. If other kids wanted to hop on Zooms or any other kids playing video games, I found myself like letting him play video games longer than I normally would just because there was other people to play with because he didn't have any kind of interactions. So when he had the opportunity to go back to in person, I did allow him to go back, just taking the risk because of the social aspect of things. But, and I'm hoping we get into this, but the educational aspect, whoa, there was a deficit.
And you guys, oh, go ahead, Chris.
Actually, that was a question I wanted to bring up to the panel was, do you feel like they were prepared to go on to the next grade after that 1 year of distance learning, or was that distance learning a detriment to them?
That's a hard no for Kim.
Ooh.
Yeah, I feel like they missed out on a lot. I know I feel like every kid is different and they learn different. Like for my son, he totally took a turn educational wise because he needed he's more of like a hands-on learner. He needs you to show him exactly, and he also has to be stimulated when he's forced to sit at the table every morning. That's a little bit different than getting up in the morning, getting yourself ready for school and going out to be around, your friends in a different type of setting versus being at home 24/7, having to share a classroom with your sisters. Now it's a lot of different factors that played into how he was able to learn. Whereas when he's at school, he knows that's his routine. He knows his teacher's going to be able to assist him. And, he knows that he has these other activities to navigate his math homework. There's other ways to get the job done. But when you're home, I felt like it was just more so, I kind of have to take over parent and, educator, and not that we're not already educators as parents, but, more so of that void of the teacher. So.
And I want you guys to know this is a free flowing conversation. Adrian, I done seen your eyebrows go up, perk, lean in many a times. Honey, jump in.
Well, because I'm listening, and I just know on my end as being in the educational system and seeing it on the flip side, like of when I heard normalcy, I'm like, well, we're still figuring it out. Like I see it even now where they're asking questions like, well, are they supposed to finish the whole quarantine, or do they just come back after they get a negative COVID test? So just different stuff like that where they're still figuring it out. And we've been in school for a few months now, so it should have already been pre-planned, right? But I know it's trial and error because no one's been through this before. So it's just, all of that. And then watching the kinders when they have the mask slipping all off underneath the nose. And they're like, it's not 6 feet apart. They're right next to each other. It's just chaos. So, but at the same time, I know parents, is when they were in distance learning, I worked a lot with parents and just homework help and everything. It was stressful. So I also get the other part of just trying to get back to the normal thing. But then it's just, the planning on the school part. For me, I don't think it was all the way thought out, but it could have been. And they're just, it's just one of those things no one's been through before. So,
I wanted to chime in when it came to going back. I knew for certain that my son was not up to par educationally, and wasn't ready for the next grade. I did what I could as a parent, but then there's Common Core, and then there's different learning techniques and stuff like that I'm just not equipped to handle. And then there was this like level of shame and guilt as a parent, like I didn't do everything I needed to do. And, I also have to work, and there was all these dynamics. But when he went in, because the teachers were too overwhelmed, I didn't get the support that I wish I would have, I could have needed. And then I want to also add that my son this year, with all the kids going back, we got notified last week that they've been in what's called learning communities. So they don't switch. He's considered middle school at his school, but they stayed with the same group for each class to be safe. But they sent out a notice to us saying that they have noticed that there's some mental and emotional needs that a lot of the sixth graders are battling with. With that being said, they have changed up their learning communities based on those needs. Well, then that's a whole different thing, because there are some emotional things that the kids are lacking with having been out and then being traumatized too. They don't know what the heck is going on. Right. Pause there.
No, and Toya, when you said, you felt a little guilty about sending a child back to school, knowing he wasn't up to par, ready for that grade level, I feel where you're coming from, because while they were home, they had 2, maybe 3 hours of Zoom in class, and they have the luxury of walking away from that computer at any time. My child did that often while I was working. And being in the living room, watching TV or on his iPad. So I get it. I knew he was not prepared to enter second grade. But with that being said, these teachers knew as well that these children would come back and they would not be where they're supposed to be. And that I've gotten that from teachers and coaches. Same thing with the coaches, volleyball and football. These kids have come back and they are lazy. They don't want to put in no work. They don't. The coaches are so disappointed, and they don't know where to go. They don't know where to start with them, because they are used to laying in bed, being on Zoom all day. For these high schoolers, my kids, they was in bed on Zoom. Sometimes I make them get up and sit at the table, but we can't have 3 kids sitting at the table all doing Zoom at once. You know what I mean? So I get it, Toya, but I do feel like the teachers know that too. And they are trying to work out the kinks, I will say.
Mm-hmm. And some of them are very hard on themselves. Just I have to remind teachers daily, like, give yourself grace. You can't expect to come into your classroom and teach them at grade level. It's not possible. We might as well say last year was, I don't want to say throw it in the trash, but
yes, last year was a wash, right?
Exactly. So it's almost like you have to meet them where they are and build those skills where they are. And I also we've had these conversations too. It's like, well, we got a lot of money. District got a lot of money. So why wasn't the money used for like extra support? Like when the kids are going back to school, they're going to need the extra tutoring. They're going to need all of that, like the extra help, because they're going to be a year behind. So it's like, what are we doing here? And yeah.
But it makes me wonder then, so okay, and we're talking extra money and resources and that are there. And so I guess it makes me wonder though, that's the aha, like, that seems like it should be easy.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's a mass exodus of employees on every level and every angle. And I know teachers that are taking every bit of the time that they have stored up and access to off because they don't know how to navigate this. Back to
Mm-hmm.
school, back to COVID, back to school, back to COVID, back to school, back to COVID, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you got a newborn baby at home. If you were a teacher, would you be back there or would you be taking all of the paternal time that you could take off?
Man, I'm probably trying to take all the time I can have off for my newborn. Yeah.
Because I got a
Mm-hmm.
fat baby at home, so it's this catch 22.
Mhm.
Adrian, I'm wondering, how are the teachers being impacted by this? How is their morale?
Oh, I mean, literally, we dealt with, we started with the new administrator, a new principal this year, and it got too much for him, and he literally had to step down. So now we're dealing with a sub principal, and so, and then, teachers are taking off here and there. And then you have like sometimes in their classroom, a kid is exposed to COVID, and like it's almost like I won't say every week, but at least bi-weekly we are
Wow.
getting some kind of email that says, so they're burnt out, they're overwhelmed. A lot of them are taking personal days more, and yeah, you can definitely see it's aware. I had a conversation with my little one is up now once again.
Mhm.
um, I had a conversation with one teacher, and you know, she just straight out said, I'm all over the place right now because I'm helping her with a student that's having behavioral issues, and she's like, I know I'm all over the place. So, and you have these little ones that they have never been in school before, and they're trying to be, learn how to be a student. And you have the teacher that's overwhelmed and she just can't get it, right. It's a lot. It's a struggle for them because then, she's feeling, incompetent and like she's not doing her job, So, and I mean, what can you do? It's like post pandemic. Everyone's going through it. Whether it doesn't matter, if you're the educator or the administrator or,
Mhm.
everyone. So, it's a tough thing. They're trying to hang in there, but you can definitely see it. It before this all happened, it was a burnout situation. They dealt with burnout, but now it's even more so. Look, I'm on camera. You see this?
Yes, and they like to be on camera too. Mary, I have a scenario that I want to lift up that is probably going to kick us into that is going to kick us into a space, parents, and so all of y'all. So my grandbaby is in kindergarten, right? Buddha's in kindergarten, right? Buddha go to school. First time ever in the whole world. Now she knows not to like eat her mask, right? Because coming to Granny's house, you just gotta wear it. So they got their masks and stuff. It's all bedazzled up and everything matching, and they sequenced and looking good. And she goes to her classroom and she's so excited because she's met her future husband. I won't mention his name publicly. Yes, girl, she is in
That
love.
sounds like my
And
kid.
so Nicole, honey, she is in love. She gonna marry him. She chases him.
Aubrey.
Why he runs?
Aubrey.
That's my little
I
one.
love but she's just so happy and she's so extroverted and enjoying this whole social experience of kindergarten. And she get the sniffles in the classroom. She sneezed or coughed. I don't know what she did. Adrian, I think she might have sneezed. She might have coughed. She might have hiccuped. I'm not quite sure. But the teacher was like, off with her head. Get out of here. So they send my poor baby away from her beloved betrothed to the school nurse, and call her mama and say she's sick, got the sniffles. We need her to leave. And so mom pick her up. She can't come back until she has a COVID test that shows that it's negative. Quarantine her. And so mom is like, now the mom calls me and is like, What do I do? I said, well, make her a doctor's appointment. She calls the doctor. Now, this is when schools just started opened up. She calls the doctor's office. They are inundated and flooded with children that have been exposed to COVID, and they can't see her. This was on a Monday, so they can't see her. I see your face, Nicole. They can't see her until Friday. So now she can't see the doctor till Friday to technically get a test that will show that she's COVID negative until yes. So now she's like, I don't know what to do. And so I'm gonna quarantine. So my daughter quarantines, and then she arranges for her other child to go to her father's house so she doesn't come home. So she splits her family up and she quarantines them into the room. And she scheduled an appointment for a drive-through test where she had to take the swab and stick it in her kindergartner's nose, 6-year-old nose, hold her down in the front seat so that they don't call CPS on her while she trying to swab her nose right in the car. So the school doesn't tell her what to do from there. The doctor doesn't tell her what to do from there. She's waiting for the negative stuff. She doesn't know what the protocol is. Ain't nobody giving her no text message or nothing. She can't remember what email or paperwork that she got that told her what the protocol is or what have you. And all she wants to do is to send her baby back to kindergarten so she could be in the classroom with her husband to be. Now,
so I literally just had that happen to me, Elder Tony. Chris, remember I told you I had to go get my second grader from school because he went and told the teacher he wasn't feeling good. So,
oh gosh.
Right. And he had a little runny nose. He did have a runny nose, but I went to pick him up and they had a whole packet for me. They had a whole packet for me. And instructions. I don't think you guys can see it, but they basically told me he couldn't come back to school.
How long? How big is the packet? How many pages?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. So they told me he can't come back to school until he has a negative COVID test, or we can choose to quarantine him for 10 days, whichever we prefer. I'm already up to this. I already know how these kids work with the, I don't feel good. They know they're going to get a couple of days off from school. So rather than going and schedule an appointment at the doctor's office, I took him to the urgent care and got a rapid test right away because I wanted him to go back to school the next day. Like, you have a runny nose. It's not COVID. I already know, it's time for you to go back. So that's exactly what I did. But with that being said, they did give me the option to get him tested or to quarantine for 10 days. So they did send home this packet. This is with Stockton Unified too. They did send home this packet and they did kind of let me know where some of the testing sites were, but I'm already onto this. Like I said, I have high schoolers and the COVID spread in high school is rapid. Like, it's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I get an email every other day saying, a possible exposure at school.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, high school is definitely spreading like wildfire there.
So the high school had the packet for you, Mary, correct?
No, the high school did not have the packet. So that was Stockton Unified for my second grader. First time we experienced anything was actually with Lodi Unified with my daughter, who is 16 and she plays volleyball. I got a call from the principal and he says, Ms. Davis, I need you to come pick up your daughter. She was exposed at school. She needs to go get tested. If you choose not to get her tested, she can come back after, I think they told me it was 14 days, but it may have been 10. So that was my first time experiencing anything like that, but I did find a rapid test for her. We went and got her tested. She did test positive. She was exposed by one of the students in her in her classroom that sat next to her. So she did test positive. And there was like nothing else after that. They gave me no instructions on what to do. They gave me no packet. They basically said, come get your child, bring her back when she's negative, or go get her tested or have her quarantined. Wow. That was it.
So it seems like there's like a disconnect then with SUSD and Lodi Unified then, because one school gave you a packet, the other one didn't.
There's definitely a disconnect, but I feel like it's also the high school and the grade school level difference as well. Because like I said, the high school is experiencing it so much that I get an email every other day. I have an email from them today saying that there was a possible exposure at school. So I feel like with the high schoolers, they're experiencing it so much to where it's just like, come get them and go get them tested or quarantine them. And that's it. Send them about their way.
Nicole, I seen you come off mute. Did you want to share something?
I've had a few different scenarios. Well, with my youngest daughter, let's start with her. Let's get her out of the way, Miss Aubriella. So she's been in a classroom setting, I'll say, but she hasn't been ever, obviously, in kindergarten. So she didn't really understand the concept of that this was her new school. Even though we take her siblings to school, we've been doing that. She really didn't get it until she was really there. And so one day this was at the beginning of the school year, and I got a call, and they said that my youngest was in the office. Excuse me. I was in the office with a stomach ache and a headache also. But mind you, my 5-year-old, she comes to me and she says often, "Mom, I have a headache." Just very dramatic, and how nothing's wrong with you. Go sit down. Nothing's wrong with you. And so once I got the call, they said, "Okay, you need to come pick her up." So in the time frame of me trying to figure out how I was going to go pick her up at the time, I finally get there, and the lady who I'm very friendly with and knows my kids because they've been going there for a few years. She said, "You know what? I'll tell you, this little girl is fine. She's been running around this office. She's been outside saying hi to everybody. Nothing's wrong with her." And I see it, I know my kid. I know my kid, and I see her, and I pick her up. So she's like, "You know what?" She's like, "She can come back to school tomorrow. She can come back to school tomorrow as long as she's feeling fine." That was, and this is a administrator at the school. She works in the office. I do know her from the school. So she said that. Okay, I brought my daughter home. As soon as we got home, she said, "Are we going to gymnastics today? Can you go take me to my grandma's house? Can I go?" So I knew she was fine. She was feeling fine. Okay. And so what happened with her is that she ended up going back to school the next day. Everything was fine. But I did have a different experience with my son. He called me. He wasn't feeling good. He had a headache. He had, I believe, a little bit of a sore throat. And I might want to say he had an earache. He had another, a symptom. And so I picked him up. They let me know, okay, he won't be able to come back to school until you have a negative COVID test, or he can come back on this date, 10 days, which was about 10 days later. And so my son also has allergies really bad too. So I was kind of conflicted on how he felt. So we ended up taking a rapid test that we actually got a bunch of them from Walmart. He took it and he was negative. But the thing was, he still had a runny nose. He was coughing. So for me as a parent, I'm just like, I do work from home. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep you home. You're staying home with me these crucial long 10 days, but it's just best for you to stay at home because, just of how he was feeling. And so he stayed home for those 10 days. And even though he did have the negative COVID test, I could have sent him back. But just, I was like, you could just stay home with me. And then he got a packet of homework from school, and his sister ended up turning it in. But they just gave us pretty much a date of when he was supposed to come back to school, or requested that we provide a negative COVID test.
Okay. Wow. And what about you, Kim? Have you had any experiences around this?
No, I've been very blessed. Myself and my kids have not got COVID. I have got a letter that they sent home with my kids saying that somebody from their school got COVID. So just to look out, I guess, for symptoms. But I'm Stockton Unified School District, and I didn't get any packet. I didn't get anything as far as them giving, the notice to my kids and bringing it home, which I felt like that was something that they probably shouldn't have done because kids tend to, not bring stuff home or anything like that. So, I mean, I did feel like with that was kind of like, you guys probably should have emailed me because I didn't see that until probably I checked my son's backpack, to be honest. And he's like, oh yeah, somebody got COVID at school. So, but I haven't had the, my kids doing the, my throat hurts or anything like that. So
So it seems like we keep hearing packets and stuff being passed around. Is there not like a streamlined process of communication with notification from the schools to parents?
no.
So I know,
think Lodi,
like Kim said, she's in Stockton too, and they sent home a letter saying that there was a possible exposure, but I normally get emails, and I only got this packet because I picked my son up early because he said he was sick. They didn't send it home in any other case.
yeah, I get for Lodi, they send an email anytime your kid has been exposed. But they did say in the email, in the body of the email, it does say that if your child was like in close proximity with the child that was infected, then the principal will give you a call directly. That's for my daughter's school, for Lodi. That's the middle school. So, but with Oakwood for elementary, it's not the same thing. I don't get constant. I don't get email from them. Only for my oldest daughter from middle school.
I kind of have a question, but thought, because I'm thinking about when thinking about myself and my son, the first couple of times there was an exposure, I had to make a choice because I have to work, I had to make a choice of whether or not I was going to keep him home to quarantine in case something did happen because I can't afford to take the risk to get COVID, or, just go ahead and kind of play Russian roulette. All right. Yeah, I know about it. Go ahead. Let's see how this goes. And I know there was a couple of times in the beginning that I decided to keep him home. And then I stopped doing that. But he did get sick through once in the school year. And I noticed how simple it was, because any sickness could be COVID. It was like, just keep them home, quarantine, do whatever. But then there was no opportunity when it came to make up. First of all, he's already behind. And then when he gets back to school, we're just jumping back in like nothing ever happened. And I'm struggling with that right now. Big time. Like, not only do we not have protocol in place, but is my son going to fail?
Why aren't they sending homework? Why don't they have?
There's no packets. I'm sending emails. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending emails to the teachers. I'm not getting responses.
No, teachers do not respond. You're right, Toya. I had that same experience when my daughter caught COVID from school. It was the first week or the second week of school, and it just really messed her up. It was hard for her to catch up, and she was doing chemistry and one of her math. So it was like her hardest ones, and it was really hard for her to catch up. And she was constantly emailing her instructors. I emailed a couple of her instructors, no response.
And at my son's school, academically, they're really big on academics at his school. And they, they're like, well, the kids, they sent an email to the parents saying, parents, we understand that this is a hard year, but it's up to your kids to advocate for themselves when they're missing assignments. So in my mind, I'm thinking he's 11. So I will teach him how to advocate, but I still need to be able to advocate on his behalf as well, because he's 11 and he's my child. But when I did that and I didn't get a response, and then he's not getting a response, and now you switch the classes up based on emotional and mental needs, I really feel like helpless. Like, what do I do? You know, because COVID is still real. You know, what do we do?
And we have to acknowledge the fact that African American students are already reading and academically performing below second the English as second language students. And so, if that was already the case prior to COVID, we can't even imagine then what took place, when we had the distance learning, and then to have to come back in as though, we're just kind of starting all over. And we can't blame that on the educators and the teachers. I believe that the instructors and teachers are doing, all that they know to do to the best of their ability and some. However, I lean in heavily on our school district. So Stockton Unified School District, SUSD Board of what you call the trustees. I think that when it comes to the resources that we have in these districts and the representations that we have in the district, that's where we have to focus our attention. But the parents are the ones that are going to have to raise hell. The parents are the ones that are going to have to step up, and raise hell, because gone are the days of just passing a child through,
I,
COVID or not.
I have a question, maybe for Adrian or anybody in the audience. Is there a reason why, maybe it's a legality reason, or how come the schools can't do testing? Is there a reason why?
Are you talking about academic testing or COVID testing?
COVID testing. Because it seems like, because what I'm hearing with these stories is that it seems like the schools send them home to get tested somewhere else. They can't get tested at the schools.
So no, not the schools, but our district has weekly testing days. So families and staff can go to the district office. I'm not sure as to how Stockton Unified does it, but our district, they do offer that. So every Wednesday and Thursday, if they sign up for an appointment, the families and staff can take their COVID test there, but not at the site. Now, when my son, who is now a freshman in college, last year, as a basketball player, they had to take COVID tests twice a week. And so they allowed for the nurses to be at at the gym before, I think it was before every game and before the start of the week, before they had practice. So they did it at their school for the athletes. But now, since they need students and they need staff, they're offering it at the district office.
Yeah, same. They were doing COVID tests twice a week when the kids were playing volleyball and football. But I think they can't do it at their site because, for one, they need parental consent, one. And then two, cost.
Mm-hmm.
The cost, like what medical, we still have to show our medical card when we go get tested, So they say it's free, but we still do need to show our medical card when we get tested.
Kim, I seen you come off mute a couple of times.
Oh.
I had seen Kim
and
come
then
off
maybe
mute
it's almost like okay.
Oh, was that my time to go?
No, yeah, Kim, I'm sorry. Because I kept muting you.
Stupid.
No,
I wanted you to know.
It actually said the host has muted your mic. So I thought, maybe I was muted. I'm sorry.
No, I seen you come off of mute a couple of times, and I thought that you wanted to jump in. And the only reason why I was muting you guys is because of the feedback that I was hearing. But I wanted to make space for you to be able to share and jump in.
Oh, I think when I did unmute, I think I was trying to chime in when you said the parents raising hell. I just wanted to chime in to say I am one of those parents that raise hell. And I would say I feel like since the whole COVID, like my kids, they don't get homework. Like they do all their homework in class, which is very, I just, that's something new. And when I did go up to the school and I just felt like, homework, that's, kids should be getting homework coming home. That's the way that I can sit and know what my kids are getting taught, the way that I can review things. And they say, I guess that just causes a little bit of less overwhelming for the teachers to have to deal with the students, go home, grade the work. I just, I don't know. I feel like since the kids went back, at least my kids for Stockton Unified School District, they go to Bush Elementary. That has just been they could have stayed at home learning. If this is what they were going to go back to school to, it to me, I just feel like it's kind of like a waste. I don't know. Even when I ask my kids, what are you guys learning? They talk more about COVID than they do about things that they're supposed to be going to school to learn.
Wow.
Kim, you're right. Same. Like my son, second grader, he does his homework in class. When he comes home, majority of the time, his homework is already complete. He'll probably have like one page that he needs to do, but it sounds like the teachers are setting aside certain amount of time for them to complete their homework in class. And I don't know if that's because, like I said, the kids have gotten lazy. They don't like to put in a lot of the work. I don't know if some of the kids weren't completing their homework, so they want to make sure that it's getting done, or if it's because they just have extra time in class to do this.
Well, so Adrian, go ahead, Adrian.
It's okay.
So I'm
I was
wondering.
just gonna ask if I answered because I think, but Mary, you touched on it, so that's why I said never mind. I think it's more so of the cost. Going back to the test.
Go back. Go ahead. Go back to that.
Oh. Okay. No, I think because I was literally thinking it is probably a cost thing, and then also, I think district leaders probably want to eliminate any issues, like if they, have to allot a certain amount of tests at each site, not having any liability type of situations. What if an adult, pushes it up too high, or they allow the little kids to do it themselves? Like, because I'm thinking of elementary. I work in an elementary school. Will they be doing it correctly? So I think they kind of, maybe streamlined it to just allow it to happen at the district office because they have a certain agency that's providing it, to eliminate that type of issue from happening. And then also the money, I think also, to keep the cost down.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering why they have to do it. I mean, if we can have a pop-up van and pop-up clinics at these different places, and we can, have a van show up at a church, then why would the staff have to do it? Why, I guess I'm just trying to think out of the box, but I don't know what all the red tape is. I don't have all the answers to that. Yeah.
I want to say, I've seen lots of unmutes. I don't know who should go first.
Nicole, and then Chris.
I want to say when my son's school was offering this, not this school year, because this school year, it was just like all the kids back. But last school year, they gave the option, some kids in school, some kids virtual. And for the kids that were going to school in person, they got tested every 2 weeks. But I knew that there was a cost associated with it, because when we did the initial, we had to do like an initial survey where they got our information, our consent. But I also had to give all of the medical information, for billing purpose. And I knew it was for billing purposes. I thought about, what if they don't have it? Anyways, that's a different thing. But I gave all the medical information. But then every single day that my son went to school, I had to sign a document in his, like, it was an entry ticket. I had to mark off whether or not he had any symptoms. And then it was also me agreeing to like spontaneous testing, all of that stuff. And it was a headache. I could imagine it being a headache for the school. The colors had to change each week so that they could make sure they were tracking it properly. And, A days, B days, all of this hassle. So if a teacher is already overwhelmed trying to get everything on track, and then you add in the testing, which is not part of their job, then it just becomes a hassle. And then when it comes to the vans and the testing sites and stuff, even that's a scarcity. We don't have an abundance of testing vans and an abundance of hospitals and stuff. I see your face, Mom, but we don't have I know it probably appears that way, but there isn't this abundance there's probably an abundance of money from the government coming in, but the actual labor part of it, I don't think that there's as much as we think there is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Nicole, and I appreciate that. And Toya, you lift up very, very valid points in regard to the tracking. I was looking at Nicole's face when you were saying that. I can't imagine changing of the colors and all of the administrative stuff that has to go behind the scenes on that. So you do lift up an extremely valid point. Nicole?
Just to go off of Chris's question regarding COVID testing at the schools, I do remember when we kind of were doing the paperwork online for the kids to go back to school, they were offering like a voucher that you would obtain from the school. This is for Lodi School District. You would get a voucher, and then I believe once you get the voucher, you go online and you have to enter that information. I'm not sure if there is a parent cost or if that falls on the district, just because I haven't gone through the process. But I remember reading that they were offering that as a way to get COVID tested if your student, I believe it's student and employees and parents as well. So.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Chris?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say this makes me want to just do some more research on. You brought up a good point, little Tony, on like a van or just some type of partner that we can find to help with the testing at the schools. You see what I'm saying? Because it seems like we're removing the kids so far from education. If they get sent home, then they have to find where to get tested at. They have to get tested and wait for the results. It seems like there needs to be something done and do some research on a partnership, something like that, to help with that process, because I think that should be handled differently.
Yeah,
well, the schools do have testing at their sites. Like Rio Calaveras just had testing this week. McNair has testing at their site all the time. Their testing site. Chavez has testing sites. All the schools should be testing sites for COVID. Not sure, Toya. Probably because, yeah.
But so you're saying, so when you say
certain schools having it, certain not, if it's not all streamlined throughout the
like this packet that they sent me home with.
Hold on 1 second, and because I've got to then challenge or test language, because you're saying all the schools should. Is there something then that has come down from the state directive that states that they should? Is this a mandated thing, Adrian?
No. So I think I haven't heard any language around that, but I think what districts are doing are assigning sites, right? So in my district, there are particular schools that actually have testing. Well, not testing. They do the vaccine. And then I think, and my district actually just chose to do all testing at the DO, which is the district office, because we have a fairly small school district. So it's easier that way. But they assign certain sites to do the vaccine, So it really is up to each district as to how they want to do it, because there hasn't been any language around if each site should have, testing available. So I think it's more so of, the districts are deciding that, the leaders,
Right.
They're deciding what, which site is gonna have testing, which site are gonna provide the vaccine.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and I see you, Mary. And the reason why I wanted to interject is because with Faith in the Valley, we have to be like super careful when it comes to saying something in a declarative statement, PHA too, because at that point, as credible, because as credible messengers within the community, right, and advocates for policies to be upheld and lifted up. If we're saying that they should, then that's a declaration stating that. And I wanted to make sure that we correct the language. So what Adrian is saying then is perfect. That makes sense. That each school then should technically have a testing site that is affiliated to their location. but even still, that's not mandated. They don't have to. That is a courtesy. Um, Toya, because does your son's school have an assigned? Do you know of the assigned testing site? Come back, Mary, with your package.
Oh, I have it. Yes.
I
So,
just was curious. I'm trying to poll it real quick. Toya, do you know of the a testing site that your school that's associated with your school?
No, and it's interesting because technically our school is in Stockton Unified School District, but we don't get any of the Stockton Unified School District information because it's chartered. Um, it's just chartered through that district.
Mhm.
So it's almost like a standalone. I have no idea what sites or if they have any kind of connection. I know that they have a group of kids there that, are of certain economic brackets, maybe like lower economic brackets. But a lot of the kids, they have insurance and their parents have money and all that stuff. So the information just comes out very differently.
Wow.
But I don't even know. I have no idea where they partner with or how they do any of that.
Wow. Chris, I think that that's something that should be noted. And it's definitely, something to be looked into because I know that one of our board of supervisors in particular has been really, really, advocating for more rapid testing sites and all of that. But the school district, the boards, are the ones that really need to take up that stand and that charge, and say, hey, schools, what rapid testing sites and vaccine sites are within the vicinity, and get that information into the hands of the parents.
So I have a
Yeah.
question, Mary. Does the students from only McNair, are they the only ones that can take a test, or is it
No.
open for
It's
everybody?
open. It's open to the whole community. It's open to anyone.
Okay.
So yes.
So it sounds
So
like
yeah,
a testing site.
with this list that I have, it shows like the days certain schools will have testing. So like Tuesday, it has Marshall, Taylor, Washington, Edison High School. Wednesday is Rio Calaveras, Bush, Adams, Kennedy. Thursday, El Dorado, Hoover. There's like, certain, so it has a whole list of all the sites and what days they'll be at certain schools.
So I'm trying to understand how come all the parents don't have that package from Stockton Unified School District.
That's what I was gonna ask.
I'm trying to understand that too.
So again, this is a packet that they gave me when I picked my son up from school because he said he was sick.
No.
So
Mary,
they wanted
no.
to say, hey, he can't come back until he gets tested. And here are some of the sites that you could take him to go get tested.
Is that information, does it show the school district website that they can find that information on? Is there a link that we can drop in the chat for other parents in order to be able to access that information?
I'll scan through it and double check, but
If
I
you
did
see
not
anything,
see.
then
I
let
did
us
not
know.
see a website
Yeah,
or a link.
because we've got,
No,
let's see,
there isn't.
1, 2, anybody else got a child in SUSD? My grandchildren, all of them. You guys, I had a parent 2 months ago. Reach out to, well, I had an advocate from the Bay Area reach out to me on behalf of a parent. The parent had 3 children, I believe. One of their children is in one of their children. One of their children is, I think she's 6 or 7 years old. The baby was in the classroom, and I think she's in kindergarten, I believe, or first grade, but the baby is in the classroom. The experience that is first grade. The teacher didn't feel like the kids could hear her while she was reading in the mask, and so she would take her mask off in order to make sure they could hear her. I see you, Adrian. Girl, they always tell me when I'm preaching to fix my face. And here
Look
you
at
go.
Adrian.
I'm so glad she a mirror image, right? I feel like I'm looking at me. So that's that. So that's is problem number 1, right? Adrian, I want you to just do the check marks. Can you do a tally for everything that I tell you is okay? So there it is. So tally number 1. The other concern is that the children went into the classroom initially with assigned seating, but the teacher kept moving them around. Yeah, check mark number two. And the other issue is that two of the students were sent home because they were sick, and the parent was never notified that anyone was sent home with any COVID-like symptoms. Check, 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 check. So the parent picks up her daughter from school, and her daughter is not feeling good. She monitors her daughter throughout the night. Her daughter is having she's not feeling well. So I'm sorry, the baby girl wakes up in the morning, she's not feeling good. The mom is concerned that she might have COVID. The other kids already had gone to school, and so she took the baby to have her COVID test done. True enough, she has COVID. So the mom now is like frantic. She goes to the school to get her other children out because she's worried now that, she doesn't want anybody else to get COVID. So that's the right thing to do. She goes into the principal's office or the nurses to let them know. They pull the children out. They're wanting her to sign all kind of stuff. She's trying to get her daughter home because her daughter has got 104 something fever. She is coughing. She's weak, and so she's not doing all that great. And mom is terrified because her baby's got COVID and she's got people that have died from COVID. Um, so the nurse is asking for the COVID test. We need the test showing that the daughter has COVID. She says, I don't have that with me right now. I need to get my baby home. The school called her two times from in between the school and her house. We need you to send us the test. Can you email? Can you bring it back? Can you? Can I get home? They called her a couple of more times after she got home, and she felt borderline like it was harassment at some point. Now she's angry as well because apparently the two girls that were there had COVID. And so that's how her baby got COVID. And her baby got COVID because she was sitting in one of the seats that one of the girls had COVID, was sent home with, and the teacher was moving it. So that's how come Oakland reached out to us. Now, she called the school district, the superintendent, and her district representative. The superintendent said that he'd get back to her, but he never did. The district representative told her not to worry about anything, that they would make sure that they got the information to the school, and then follow up from there. And to When we reached out to mom was in a pool of tears. She was exceptionally emotional, of course, because now day two, my baby, full blown COVID, is in the room, quarantined from the entire family by herself behind closed doors. We don't know what to do. She's 7 years old, So I mean, it's this whole big scenario, I'm not even trying to make light of it. This was real stuff. And the mom felt like she was a failure. She failed to protect her children, just all of that. Parents did get the vaccine. However, they still were exposed to the Delta variant. And so the whole household ended up with COVID, and out of work, until everybody quarantined and got better and stuff. No protocols. Did you get a package? Did you get a text message? You didn't even get a message after their baby was exposed to COVID saying that the kids were exposed to COVID. Yeah. So what we gonna do, y'all? Look, Adrian, what should have happened?
Well, that's a good question, but I think anytime a student, and I know it's a slippery slope, but I feel like anytime a student is exposed to COVID and they are in the classroom, I think every parent in that room should be notified so they can have a choice to go get tested or get their child tested. And can you still hear me? Because I got a phone call in. Yeah, okay. And definitely, there has to be something about procedures in the classroom to help, like, try not mixing tables, right? But my
Her phone ringing, y'all.
Yeah, I think that's what I was gonna say. I think her phone is
She was about to
ringing.
start preaching again, So yeah. I do, but the protocols though, she did bring a good point. Are the schools doing anything about like the dividers or something like that too to help stop with the spread and stuff like that, or what?
We haven't heard anything about dividers at all.
That was last year when they were having like half virtual, half in person.
Mhm.
At this point, it's just school as regular. When I go and pick up my son, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are transitioning hormonally, so they are definitely not 6 feet apart. They're all on each other, and in the classroom, they're just there. Am I stagnant? What's the matter?
No, you're fine.
Oh,
Not for me.
you fine. You just when you said stacked all on each other,
right
I
there.
was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, just
Well,
gloss right
because
over
you
that.
got to think about it. Like
Whoa,
we're in
wait a
COVID.
minute.
I was kind of tickled when I was listening to them talk. Someone was talking about having a child in kindergarten and how the masks are hanging down and the kids are not 6 feet apart. And I'm thinking, you got now 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who are going through puberty. Hormones are changing. They're like, yay, I felt something when I saw her, and they want to be next to their partner. They want to be next to the girls. The boys want to be, like everybody wants to be close. And they do that. The parents, the teachers can only do so much. So then you have that dynamic. Kids are going to be kids.
Mhm.
They are at school.
man.
So there's no dividers anymore. There's not really much of a safety things in play. There's
Mm-mm.
So I have a wrap up question for all of y'all on here. Now there is a mandate the kids have to be vaccinated. How y'all feeling about that there?
I'm gonna
Mary
be
put her
honest. It
hands
makes
over her
me
mouth like that.
nervous. Yes, it makes me nervous because my daughter has a pre-existing health condition, so I don't want to get her vaccinated. I don't want to get her vaccinated because I am concerned and I am worried. The other ones I'm not too concerned about because they don't have pre-existing health conditions, but and I think they will be fine if they do get vaccinated. But I'm concerned. I'm worried. I will be honest. It makes me very, very nervous.
I've already started looking into finding maybe a home tutor, because if that's the case, I will be pulling my kids out of school because I'm not getting my kids vaccinated.
Nicole?
I was gonna say very awkward. It got real quiet after.
No, Kim. We were waiting for look. I'm
No
sitting here looking
judgment
at
zone,
Nicole
Kim.
for
It's no judgment here.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Nicole?
I'm kind of torn because, like for myself, I'm not vaccinated yet. It's just I'm waiting for Mary to get a clinic going so I can attend, come support.
You were supposed to come to the last clinic. I called you.
I was,
bring
but I
your
missed
sister.
it. But I am
That was
definitely,
great.
but I do want to get myself vaccinated. And at the time when I was already thinking about it, I was like, man, I don't really want to be vaccinated and my kids aren't vaccinated. Like I don't want to be covered and they're not covered. So then now it's like exactly that they are going to be mandating them to be vaccinated. And I am still a little nervous. The whole thing just makes me nervous and skeptical. But at the end of the day, for me, I've been a person who experienced COVID. I've had, family members go through it, still are going through it. So for me, it makes sense to get everybody me, the kids, all of us vaccinated. So, but just that mandate word, like if they're not getting vaccinated, then they can't go, like that makes me a little
Mm-hmm.
nervous because it's the unknown. It's not something that I went through as a child, thinking about my childhood and me going to elementary school, it wasn't something that we had to worry about. So just the unknown aspect of it is a little bit scary, but I feel like when I went through COVID, I could just never wish that on my children or anybody. I never want them to ever feel anything close to that. So
Right.
for us, that's just my
Mm.
view on it.
And that's something, Nicole, that you said that, and I'm gonna kick it to you, Toya, because as a child, you probably wouldn't have known what your parents had to deal with in regard to signing you up for school and the vaccinations
Right,
and the shots and
right.
stuff. For kids, it was a nightmare because I am not pro vaccines. And so I never have been. I don't do flu shots and all of that different stuff. I did get the COVID vaccine. However, I was very nervous going in. I was very leery and very untrusting about the whole doggone thing. And I even went on record and said, okay, so I'm a community member, trusted messenger, all of this stuff. So if anything happened to me, y'all know what not to do. And it was kind of that mindset, like, I'm not going to advocate for anything, or I'm not going to even advocate for the education of a thing, and I haven't done it myself. So I wanted to take that posturing. But I don't do flu shots. I don't do any of that. And for my kids, they had to get they had to get vaccines in order to go to school. I'll never forget the nightmare of that with all of them because Mary, I'm kind of Kim, I'm kind of like you. So y'all want me to do what? I don't trust none of y'all, and y'all want me to give my kids what? Oh, well, they can't come to school without this, this and this. And so it's like, oh, okay. So I'm not looking at it any different from that. However, the national, not the national news and all of the, the media and stuff, to me, it's just the most sensationalized thing right now that is talked about that makes it way more difficult to swallow and to deal with. Toya, let me kick it to you.
Um, my son actually asked to get vaccinated. So with him doing that, we have a different kind of relationship. I may have a different kind of parenting. Maybe I'm more of a progressive parenting, because in our home, I am very open to things that he asks to do for himself, especially as he's getting older. So I knew that he had thought about it, and we got to talk through that process together with whether or not it was the right time, all of that stuff. But as a parent, I don't have the energy, the emotional capacity, the education, the knowledge to teach him. I just do not. I know that there's a lot of people who are like, I'm a homeschool. I don't have it. I don't have it in me to do it. My poor baby he would just have to pick up a trade somewhere and be like, I ain't got it,
Gonna
y'all.
do construction work.
Like, baby, what you gonna do for a living? You said, don't take a degree, okay?
He's gonna have to learn how to work with his hands.
I know, and I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but that's just my thought. Like, I don't even have it, right?
No, right.
I also enjoy getting up and going to work, right? I enjoy being out there in the community. And then I think about the fact that now I got to think about if he gonna be at home. I ain't got it. So if the mandates ain't gonna be vaccinated, well,
He's gonna be
get in line. I don't know.
No, but I get what you're saying, Toya. And my thing is, my kids don't want to homeschool because they're athletes. They want to play sports. And if they're homeschooled, they can't take part in any sports. They won't be able to do senior pictures, be a part of the yearbook, all of that. So it's a lot of decisions that needs to be made, and I have to I got to do some back research. She has to go back and see a cardiologist, and we just have to do some follow-ups on this vaccine.
But isn't there an exception for those that, I mean, there are adults that aren't able to get the vaccine because of pre-existing conditions. So
that's why now I need to start scheduling, because she doesn't, this was when she was 3 years old. So she no longer has to see these specialists. But now that this new mandate may come out, I need to schedule appointments and get referrals for her to see these specialists again to determine if it's safe for her to get this vaccine. And Adrian's phone died, but as you see, she's trying to log back in now.
So, Chris, what do you think in regard to this mandate, man?
Yeah, it's tough. It's very tough. I think, like you, Tony, I'm vaccinated, and for sure I can't be trying to educate on vaccination if I didn't get it, for sure, right? But when it comes to mandates, that's always a very, very tough position. You know what I mean? I believe with the proper education, people can make the informed decisions, right? And go from there. So my daughter's only 7 months, so I don't have to worry about her going to school. I'm blessed in that part right now. But I think you should have the choice once you get all the information to make an informed decision what you want to do. I got it. I don't regret it, and I'll do it again if I have to.
My grandson, my little baby grandson, he just started preschool. So I hope Champagne don't be mad at me. He just started preschool though, and his first day of preschool, he got sent home. Second day, Toy, right? Second day of preschool, he got sent home not feeling good. And I promise you, I was at home having all kind of heart palpitations. I was like, oh Lord, they done exposed my baby to COVID, and just doggone the day in New York. So, it's like crazy down there. Turned out he didn't have COVID, thank God, but it was still scary. I mean, it's like, this is scary, y'all. This is some real stuff. And so, Nicole, I wanted to lift you up in what you were saying. I appreciate you just in your transparency, because, you didn't have to share that you were exposed to COVID. But, it's scary. I've never had it. I don't want it.
Yeah. Definitely. It's a scary thing. And I'm not a person that really was getting sick often, like that. It kind of came out of nowhere. So it was just an experience. And thankfully, my mother was able just to take my kids, and they weren't, and they homeschooled. At that time, they were doing in homeschool. So as soon as I felt away, because it's almost like I knew that something was wrong, because like I said, I'm not normally sick. So I immediately sent them away. And none of my kids, none of my family, they got it at the time for me. They weren't exposed for me. Thankfully, it was just me. So, yeah. But it's a scary thing. And then adding the kids in it, it's an even scarier thing, because I feel like as adults, we can maneuver, we have the knowledge and the aspect of understanding, where the kids don't, they look to us for the understanding, and they look to us for the guidance. So, yeah.
Well, you guys, I just want to tell you that I appreciate you all so much for the time that you took to tap into this conversation this evening. I feel like it was a rich conversation, and very telling. If there was anything that you would want to just, say, if you could say something that could make a change, one thing, that could make a real difference when it comes to the school situations, what would it be? If you could just one thing, no question about it, you said it and they actually did it. What would you lift up to them? What would you say?
Oh, sure. I'll say just a better line of communication. It just seems like there's a hole, a gap in this communication from when the kids get sent home to what they do. So just a streamlined part of communication. And I want to do some more research to see what we can do to help out with that part too, for sure.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, Chris. So count me in. Who we going to see?
For me, mine would be to the school districts, and it would just be same protocol. Everybody follow the same protocol. Get in line. Make sure we are all following suit with what we need to do to stop the spread and keep our children safe.
So you're saying you want some uniformity of protocol that is across the entire district?
Yeah. Actually, for our county, we have, Lodi Unified, we have Lincoln Unified, and we have Stockton Unified. So for the county, all 3 schools. Because in my case, and another parent's case, we have kids that go to 2 different school districts with 2 different protocols.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. So we're all dealing with the same virus, the same symptoms, the same circumstance, and so we should all have the same set of protocols that we're dealing with across the board. I like that.
I would ask that the school districts not see our children as dollar signs. One of the reasons the kids are back is because of the money aspect of things. They get money for the kids to come on campus, which is why when they miss a day, it has to be an excused absence so that they can receive the money for that. Stop seeing our children as dollar signs and see them as human beings. Just because they're like my son, just because he's 11, he emotionally and mentally, he's brilliant, He understands some things. He has feelings and thoughts, and he needs to be cared for in a specific way, just like all the other kids there. And if they took the time to not be focused on the money, and took care of the needs of the kids, I think the kids wouldn't be as behind as they are. So, not see them as dollar signs.
Wow. Wow. I really, really love and respect that. Yeah. Y'all some deep thinking folks. Kim?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was actually gonna say, what Toya said, because I know at least my kids' school, like I guess they have a cap on suspending the students. There's been just a lot of fighting literally every day at my kids' school. So of course I go up there and I'm just like, I don't understand what's going on. And the principal tells me they can't suspend anybody because they have a cap. And so I wanted a little bit more information. And that's basically, these aren't the words that, of course, she said, but I figured, okay, no, you need as many students as you guys need in those to be sitting in those seats for them to get funding. Because I even the computers, the whole situation with the computers, I got the school calling me, giving me more information on, hey, they had, I guess, some funding coming in and they needed every student to be in the classroom with their computer. And I felt like you guys are on me, calling to remind me to make sure that my kids have these computers and make sure they're sitting in their seats these days. But I didn't get that same communication when somebody at the school caught COVID. It was kind of like, this is, it's, you guys are caring too much about the funding. The teachers in the classroom, my kids could tell me about how many new COVID cases today, but they can't tell me anything educational, and that's what they're there for. So I would definitely say that, just to really kind of be proactive for the kids and not for the funding of the school.
Yeah. Good stuff. Man. Nicole?
I feel like when the kids were at home, there was a compassion piece missing, I guess, from the teachers. I felt like, for myself, I mean, I email a lot with their teachers if, I have a question on an assignment or anything, with my kids. So I'm in great communication with all of my kids' teachers. But during that time, I feel like the stress that teachers were going through, was totally relayed onto our kids. I know for my son, especially, the teacher, would lose a lot of patience with him, or I would hear little things, hearing the teacher. It's almost like, let me get on my camera and let you know a parent is around, because
Well, yeah.
and where I've never had to have those interactions with teachers. It's always on a, hey, how's my son doing? How's my daughter doing? Everything's good. Whereas it was a little bit more of a compassion that was missing for our kids, because just like us as adults, and we're like, what is going on? Our kids are staying home and we don't know this and that. They don't know. They don't know. They're like, we got to stay home. Why? I don't want to stay home. I want to go to school. So, but now, surprisingly, things have changed. I do see, like the teachers at my kids' school, for example, my elementary kids, they're out there. They have their masks for the kids who don't have masks. They're helping the kids get out of the cars, and it's just like, it's a different feeling. But I also think that it's because we're in person, and everyone's happy to be able to be around, and be back to normal. So a compassion was lacking a lot last year in 2020 from the administrators, and a lack of understanding also for what the parents were going through as now educators now, to our kids. So for sure.
Well, I know for me, what I would like, if I had a magic wand, or if I could just, make a thing, I'm going to speak it and I know it's going to happen. It would be, it would be now, and it's a two-parter, equitable resources across districts and schools, all schools, and reparations for schools that are under resources in order to bring them in equal alignment with the schools. So I would want to see the school with the lowest amount of resources and all of them balanced out to an equitable uh, place of resources, and equitable access for parents and students to all resources that are available for their education.
So when you say that, Elder Tony, what schools do you think lack some of those resources, if you don't mind
Okay,
speaking on
so let's see.
when you
Let me
say,
think of the elementary school that is in Crow Valley, um, or elementary school in Sierra Vista,
mm,
um, or the school toy that you all used to go to, that is on Sanguinetti Lane. So I'm looking at the
mm,
schools that are the poorest schools in
mm-hmm,
the Stockton Unified School District, and I'm saying bring them up to speed with
mm-hmm,
Lincoln Unified,
right.
with Lincoln High, with the richest schools that we have in the district. Bring all the schools up equitably to the wealthiest school that there is, and then make the resources equitable across the board, so that all parents, no matter their plight, no matter their funds, no matter their economic status, has equal access, equitable access, not equal, equitable access to all the resources that are out there in order for their children to really not be left behind.
Agreed. That's a good one.
Pastor Curtis said all Title V schools. I don't
Mm.
know what that means. Toya, what does that mean? Chris is smiling. What's that mean?
I don't know. That's why I thought you were going to break it
Adrian,
down.
You
what's
should
a
know.
Title V school?
Ooh, and I think it's students that it has something to do with socioeconomic status, but also second language too, I believe. And I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But it does, I know for sure it has something to do with
Oh, he said 4 languages?
Or maybe he meant Title IV school, not Title V.
it's Title
Title
IV.
IV.
Yeah, it's Title
Oh,
IV.
Title 4
Uh-huh.
school. Okay.
It's Title IV. Yeah.
Y'all got to tell me something.
Mhm.
So Let me make an announcement really quick. Adrian, I'm so glad that you was back, girl. You missed
I
it.
know,
We were
I'm
over here
sorry.
cracking up and laughing about some really crazy stuff, but we good now. So, Adrian, I want you to mark your calendar because I would like to invite you back as a guest to co-facilitate a space with me.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
Good, good, good. So, you guys so on so this is a part one and part two conversation. Back to school, back to COVID is part one, part two. Today, you have had the awesome opportunity of interacting with all of these grown-ups in this space. They so bomb. I love y'all so much. Y'all so fabulous. For part two, y'all get to interact with some students. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm inviting my grandson to be on the panel. Yay! I cannot wait. And so I am inviting, so I'm reaching out now, and saying parents, and we can fill up this space. But I want to invite your school age children into a COVID conversation. Um, what was their experience like coming back to school from COVID? Um, do they feel, how did I want to hear from them. I want to hear their voices in regard to it. Are they as worried about COVID as we are? Are they worried about their academics and stuff? Are they getting what it is that they feel they need at school? What do they need from their teachers? What do they need from their parents? When it comes to navigating through, this COVID stuff. So I wanted to invite you all to tap in on Saturday, November the 20th at 11 o'clock. And once again, it's scrolling across the bottom, Saturday, November 20th at 11 a.m. We are going to have our second series of COVID conversation that is entitled Back to School, Back to COVID. And it will be featuring our youth, school age children. So me and now Adrian, my partner in good crime, go co-facilitate this
Yay.
space. Yes, this is gonna be some good stuff. So other than that, you guys, I love and appreciate y'all super duper much. I cannot wait to tap in with you again. And yeah, it's been
Thank
rich.
you.
It's been real.
Thank you.
So
This is a
Thank
good
you,
conversation.
Thank you,
Thank you for
everyone, for
having me.
joining us.
Thank you.
This was
This was
thanks,
a great
amazing.
everybody.
conversation.
Great.
I'll be seeing you all
Definitely.
November 20th.
Yeah.
Well,